dream bigger than your wish. Hey, my God bigger than your wish. Hey, my God bigger than your wish. We celebrate Halloween. Put it in the ditch. Yeah, put it in the ditch. We celebrate Halloween. Put it in the ditch. Yeah, put it in the ditch. Nah, we ain't in the dark, cause we righteous. And you know we with the light gang. Light gang. Yeah, we with the light gang. Light gang. Yeah, we ride with the light gang. Light gang, shining bright. We ain't friends with the night. We with the righteous. And you know we with the light gang. Light gang. Yeah, we with the light gang. Light gang. Yeah, we ride with the light gang. Nah, we ain't in the dark. We a light inside this world. No, we righteous. You know we with the righteous. You can get just like this. Like bang, don't bang. No, we righteous, but we can hang with the slang. This light shines so bright, I had to lay back. Ain't they Chirac, but we killing demons, then watch the playback. Then pull up with our spirit lit up. We showing love to the sinners who was stuck in the club, and now the blood hit they psyche. Feeling Christly, we do the right thing, no spitely. No demons or witches cannot entice me. My sword in my hand like a Mikey, no Freddy Krueger maneuvering from the darkness. Accusers wanna recruit us, cause we was in the dark and his mercy set us apart in the body. We talk the same, we don't complain, cause you know we with the light gang. Light gang, yeah, we with the light gang. Light gang, yeah, we ride with the light gang. Light gang, shining bright. We ain't friends with the night, we with the righteous. And you know we with the light gang. Light gang, yeah, we with the light gang. Light gang, yeah, we ride.
What's good? What's good? What is good, everybody? How are you doing today or this evening? This fine evening in the wintertime. It's even kind of chilly by Florida standards down here, man. It's feeling good though. I'm loving it. I know everybody out there wearing all bulked up like they in some below 10 degrees type stuff, but man, I love this weather. This Florida doesn't have a lot of things going for it, but I love the weather in Florida when it gets around wintertime. That is my favorite time in Florida. It is the best time in Florida. But what is good, everyone? What is good, everybody? It's another week. And this time, we're going to go back again against some of this nonsense that's been taught to us in the world. Before I even go into this, this is the thing that I'm going to present to everybody, because I know some folks ain't going to hear this. They going, if you stuck in a Babylon brain of nonsense, this message isn't for you, because you believe everything that Massa tell you. So you're going to go and do what Massa say. If Massa tell you that the earth is a cube, you're going to believe what Massa say, because Massa done told you earth is a cube, and you're going to go and roll with what Massa said. It's cold and ice is hot. That's hilarious, actually. That is bad true, bro. Ice got the block hot up there in Minnesota. But we're gonna talk about biblical cosmology. We're gonna go into the word, see what the word says, because ultimately what matters is what the word says. And then using what the word says, we're going to look at some applications of the law of the world, or basically the laws of Yah when it comes to the laws of heaven and earth, and just try to make sense of things. Because a lot of folks, man, a lot of folks, it baffles me. I'm just going to say it honestly baffles me that you can believe that the history of a whole nation of people, a whole nation, not just us, but even our cousins over there, the sons of Ham and all these folks, pretty much all the melanated people of this world, they literally switched up the whole history of the world. One thing that's interesting, I've heard it said before, the further back in history you go, the blacker it gets. And, it's real talk. And, you let these folks tell it, everybody was white, which it don't even make sense genetically that Adam and Eve was white, because what white person do you see having a black baby without a black man or a black woman? It's not there. However, you have the Hebrew woman and the Hebrew man, which you have those, or rather the melanated man and the melanated woman. You have those, like on Africa, there was one that they had a baby that looked like a white baby. They try to say, oh, it was a white ancestor from distant back and blah, 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 blah. That don't make no sense, my dude, because those are recessive genes. So eventually those genes are going to weed themselves out, unless it was just an expression of something that was already in them. And as we know, mitochondrial Eve came out of Africa. Mitochondrial Adam came out of Africa. So this doesn't make sense. So they've lied to us about all these different things, and we figured it out. You know, we were still unraveling some of the lies and whatnot, but we see that they lied about history itself. History is just a whole, literally like what Napoleon said. History is a set of lies agreed upon. They done lied about all the history, and we acknowledge this. We have people that have brought out all kinds of truths. There's all sorts of stuff. Everybody's acknowledged this, but you still have jokers that will believe that we are on a pool ball in the galaxy that is flying through the air, and that, you know, it's a round thing, and there's this magical force called gravity that holds everything down. Like that makes no sense to me. Like, how are you going to question everything, but when somebody comes and tells you about the true shape of our world, you like, oh, that's crazy. And I get why you say it's crazy, because you've been programmed. Your mind has been programmed. And when anybody tells you that, you just automatically say, oh, you're insane. You're goofy. That don't make any sense. Because Obama went around telling everybody, you know, which is so interesting, because around the time when Obama was doing this, that's also when YouTube was putting these strict enforcements in, but the enforcements only went towards people that talked about the so-called, and I don't like calling it flat earth, because it's not really flat, and then it creates all these goofy things that people create. I'll call it biblical cosmology. So when you have a biblical model of what the world looks like, you know, Obama done already told you, because if you can look it up, there's so many videos of him like, oh, you're dumber than a flat earther. I'd rather believe in the flat earth before I believe in that. You know, you're going to sit here and believe a dude who's married to a dude and that lit the White House up in Libiquita colors, and you're going to take his word for it and let these jokers program you into your brain. Same thing with the word conspiracy theory. The first time the word conspiracy theory was used was when, after the assassination of Kennedy, they created an investigative committee to look into it. And the committee was created by the government themselves, my guys. It was created by the government. And as they were coming in and bringing out some of the nonsense and the inconsistencies with the stories that was going on, they started calling them conspiracy theorists. It's like, these were the people assigned to investigate this, and you're calling them a conspiracy theorist. And now you have people that just parrot this dumb phrase without even. That's the problem, man. One of my number one things that I do with my channel and all of my works is that we fight ignorance. You know, there's nothing wrong with being ignorant. We all were ignorant. I was ignorant at one point. I thought the world was round. I thought that Sunday was the day of the Yah's day and all that kind of stuff. Like, I've been there. I prayed in tongues before out of just stupidity and ignorance. I've done all of these different things. But it's time that, okay, now that I've become more aware of the fact that darn near everything I was told is a lie, I can't hold on to these old things. And unfortunately, a lot of people, especially those that are science-minded, they've formed, because I haven't formed it, they formed a soul tie with this concept of outer space and this concept of going to galaxies and traveling, because, you know, they grew up watching Buck Rogers, or you grew up watching Star Wars, or you watched all these different shows. Like, you don't even get a chance to question it before they're already putting things in your head that's trying to tell you this is how it is. So what I'm going to do, because I've seen lots of folks talk about it. I've seen some folks come on Brother Dante's show and talk about it. But unfortunately, a lot of folks just don't. You gotta stick to facts. You gotta stick to things that's easily provable. You gotta stick to things that just make sense. You know, there's a common way of doing this thing. And I'm like, you gotta, to me, if you want to disprove this for me, you got to answer these hard questions that I'm going to bring up during this whole situation that I'm gonna start bringing forward. And how I got into this is, there was a video on Netflix that was talking about people that call, they call them the flat earthers. I'll just use that just as a name that we know. I hate that name because, again, the model that they draw was always so ignorant and stupid. They draw like a pizza pancake earth with everything falling over on us. It's so stupid. But then again, coming from people that believe that we're on a giant pool ball spiraling through the earth, through the universe, spinning around the sun like a doggone bullet shot out of a cannon somewhere. If you believe that, then yeah, and obviously you'll look at some model like that and laugh at that and then want to laugh. But your model itself is so illogical and it's stupid and it's not even practical on any kind of level. You don't even realize it. It's that's the thing. Self-awareness is the ultimate thing for being intelligent. If you want to call yourself an intelligent or a person that has some kind of wisdom, that has some knowledge of any kind, you have to be self-aware. And to be self-aware is you got to question everything that you believe and put it under the lens of truth and be willing to look at it from an angle that you're not used to. Case in point, I went in on this Netflix show looking at the flat earthers, and I wanted to laugh. I was in the mood that day, and I'm like, you know what? I need this something lighthearted. I'm going to throw this show on, and I'm going to laugh at these people for this silliness and just see what they're talking about. And they started bringing up some good points. I'm like, yo, this dude got a good point. I said, actually, yo, this dude got a good point too. Like, there was a couple points that they were making that I'm like, yo, these are some actually interesting points. You know, this is mad interesting. The whole thing about the flights and why flights don't do a certain thing. And I'm gonna show you why that is. Like, you know, it's so interesting to me. And I'm like, okay, so they finna answer these why these questions, and they never answered the question. All they did was mock them, and that's the number one thing. You know, you have truth on your side if they just strict to ad hominem, and ad hominem means they come and they try to attack you. Oh, you fat. Oh, look at you. Oh, you dumb. You would think of something like that. Oh, look at you. You always got something goofy, childish to say, but they don't attack your fact. They don't attack your facts. They're not attracting you. They're not coming at and addressing the subject that you're bringing up. They want to just attack you and call you dumb. And that's essentially what it was. The whole thing was, oh, they're just dumb. Oh, they're misguided. Oh, we got to figure out where the education system went wrong. Oh, we got to figure out why they're so stupid. Oh, we got to but nobody was addressing the good questions that these dudes brought up. Now, ultimately, the video itself was a psyop nonsense to try to make them look dumb, because they always show you pictures of the flat earther dude, and it's always some weird dude who looks like your boy from Independence Day, who flew up into the, you know, who was dust cropping in the beginning and then flew up into the ship at the end. You know, it's always some crazy, weird, eccentric. That's what they love to do. Again, this is all programming. This is just like whenever you see on the news, they'll if a dude jaywalk, they'll show you his mugshot for 15 minutes. Every time a black person commits any crime, even it'd be minor things, but all they'll do is show you the black crime. I can tell you for a fact, my mom, she, you know, when she came down in Florida, she was in Florida for a long time. She wasn't born here, but when she used to love to watch the crime channel, the crime network or whatever, where it had all the different, you know, shows talking about all the different crimes and stuff that would happen and all these different things. And there was one, I think they had a true crime marathon, and it was for Florida. And I remember she was kind of watching it, you know, most of the day. And then I came down and she was like, you know, she said, I've been down here in Florida for a long time. And she said, and these crimes are heinous. I mean, there were some crazy crimes. I watched some of it with her. Them jokers was crazy, but most of them were not Hebrew. They were Anglo in descent. And the crimes were insane. You had the lady that was killing dudes that was Black Widow. You had dudes killing their wives over money, women killing their men over money. Again, all of these people were not of African descent. They were Anglo. They came from Europe. They were not of African descent. And she was like, you know, I've been here all this time. And she's like, I've never heard any of these stories on the news, nor have I seen any of them in the paper, because they underreport the stuff that they do and just over-report, or they put a magnifying glass on everything we do. So now everybody thinks, oh, it's just all black people that commit crime. They're the only ones that commit crime. When literally, man, I wish I would have saved it. There was a Twitter thread one day of just a bunch of Anglo folks that came out and talked about all the crazy stuff that they did, and they didn't even get in trouble. There was one of them where they was going around the hood looking for some drugs, and the cops found them and knew that they were doing it because they were a car full of white kids. So they shoot them out of the hood, and then they went to McDonald's, and then later those same cops came up in the McDonald's, and they were like, "Yeah, we knew you were over there. You know, nobody that looks like y'all goes over there for anything other than drugs. But if you really want to go," and they literally told them the better place to go to get drugs. The police told these young white kids where to go to get drugs. Now, mind you, if you're a Hebrew and you just hanging out, you know, remember when jokers used to hang out outside the 7-Eleven and they just roll up and try to lock everybody up when jokers was just hanging out or just chilling? You couldn't even chill on the corner with your friends sometimes, where, you know, they'd be riding by looking at you like you out there dealing or whatever. Like, my guy, we are literally out here just talking about Pokemon cards, my dude. Like, what are you on? Like, what are you doing? So you see that there's an extreme bias in this place towards lots of things. So you should, your antenna should go up, that whenever there's a certain concept that they demonize super heavy, demonize. You know, I've learned that about different people, like and it's universal, because in Japan they demonized Nobunaga, Oda Nobunaga, like he was this big demon dude, but Nobunaga was a dude that really just tried to keep Japan Japanese and keep the Anglos out. And Nobunaga also was cool with Africans because, again, he made Yasuke a samurai. He made him a retainer that was his personal bodyguard. White folks hate that. When that there's a video game that came out lately, and that game sucks. Don't get it twisted. The game is just garbage. But the fact that they were hating on Yasuke, a real life dude, that they have reenactments in Japan where they get African folks and folks from over here to do the reenactments, like over there in their culture. This is a known dude that they celebrate, he's cool with, but all these white dudes got mad because they saw a black man as something other than a slave. A lot of them even on Twitter, oh, he wasn't a samurai, he was a slave, because they hate to see us in anything but a slave position, because we really kings and queens, and we serve the master, the true king of queens. That's why we give him our crown, and we are service to the true king of kings of this earth. So if they got that much beef on this stuff, then this is just a thing I'm telling you, is a precursor. Anytime you see heavy propaganda trying to push your mind one way and try to make fun of you if you think another way, that's when you should think the other way. That's when you should start paying attention and get nuance. Everything is nuance. America hates nuance because when you start thinking nuance, their lies don't make sense. But they want to make it seem like you're stupid if you question a lie. So by just simply questioning, oh, we know what this is. We all know what's going on here, and we all know already what the shape of the world is. We've got pictures. Do we really have pictures, or do we have 3D composites? Do we really have all these things? Have you gone up there to see anything? So you're just believing what they tell you, and you think that what they tell you is going to be true? Like, come on. So with that said, I'm going to come over here and we're going to share our screen, and we're going to go ahead and get into what this situation is and what's going on with the shape of our realm, because it's very clear as to what it is in the word. And we're going to go ahead and break this thing down. So I'm going to start, of course, in the beginning where Yah is creating everything. I'm going to start at Genesis 1:5. And it goes, and Yah called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. And Yah said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Now, that word firmament is rakia, and that word rakia means an extended surface, solid, an expanse, firmament. Expanse, flat as base, support. Remember, four corners of the world. So I'll just leave that part right there. Firmament of the, or vault of heaven, supporting the waters above. Now, I've heard some folks say, oh, well, the waters above, because there's water in the atmosphere in there. That's the waters above, and, the waters below is the sea. Incorrect. I disagree with that. I wholly disagree, because, again, this word firmament means a vault of heaven supporting waters above. So what vault, what solid expanse do you have in what we know as the upper atmosphere? Where is there a solid expanse? There is none. Maybe it's all that ice that gets on these planes that causes all these trails that we see when planes fly, because they just cause ice, ice gets in the engine and freezes the super hot jet engine and just makes ice trails that sit there and so super thick in the sky. It's not like they're spraying or nothing. No. It's just ice. It's just ice in the sky. It's just ice up there. So I've heard even some folks who I've had this conversation with, they tried to say, well, I don't think that word is translated correct. There's no way you could say that, because when you look at, okay, where is the word used at, and how does that word used, if you look at it in all these different places in the scripture, it's kind of consistent with how the word is being used. And in Genesis 1:6, what we just read, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, that divide waters from the waters. Okay, it's talking about like a vault in heaven. Then in 1:7, God made the firmament, divided the waters which were under the firmament and waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. So that means that there's waters below and that there's waters above. Even talks about it more in Psalms. To the chief musician, a Psalm of David, the heavens declare the glory of Yah, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Do you know, as a fun little aside, you can go look up Werner von Braun. Werner von Braun. His name is Werner von Braun, and he is a whole Nazi that they imported from Nazi Germany into America. And he is the reason why America has a space program. He took I think it was the V2 rocket that never really got to get use over in the war because Germany lost by that time. They refitted the V2 rocket and turned it into what we call today rocket ships. So that's where that dude came from. And on that man's in his on his grave, on his headstone is this scripture right here. Very interesting for a dude that, talked about outer space and all these different things and stuff. But at the end of the day, even on his death, he had to acknowledge Yah and his firmament. That's something you can go look up. It's still on NASA's website right now. His name is Werner von Braun, Werner, von, V-O-N, Braun, B-R-A-U-N, Werner von Braun. And he is that dude. NASA has like a big, a thing on their website dedicated to this Nazi dude that helped them build rockets. And it's all over. Psalms 150. Praise ye the Lord. Praise Yah in his sanctuary. Praise him in the firmament of his power. The firmament, the firmness of his power. And the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creature was the color of the terrible crystal stretched forth over their heads above. Why would they use this analogy for these creatures? This is coming from a prophecy, and he used the firmament as an analogy for what was over their heads. And it was a crystal, like a blue. All right. So again, if you're going to say it's a different word, then you got to show me somewhere where this word is improperly used. And the Bible itself talks about there was a firmament that was over there. So another big, there's so much about the firmament. As a matter of fact, I didn't pull this one up, but I want to actually do this real quick. Not that. Let's see here. Actually, I just thought about it. Let me see here. If I can see, there's one particular. Here we go. One. Turn that off while it's doing all that noise. There's one where there it is right there. So you see this right here? What does that look like? What does that look like to y'all? You see the little trail that's coming? Now it's not the smoke, because there was smoke coming. There's no smoke coming off of it. Number one, the rocket just went up and it looks like it hit something and then it starts making a wake. There's literally a wake behind the rocket. Look at that. That's not smoke. That's not smoke. What it looks like is right here. Right here. You see what that looks like behind this boat? Wait till it comes and pulls over. You see all that comes in behind the boat? That did that, and now that may look similar. Let me see if I can find another. Oh, here we go. Even better view. See how the water comes up like that? How the water foams up in big foams when you have it comes that way. Sorry, I just thought about this impromptu real quick, just to kind of give you some examples. Because when it talks about waters above, there's waters that's actually above. And I'm going to actually show you why there are waters above when we start talking about the luminaries. But looking at that rocket and how that rocket went up into there, and there's other pictures too of other rockets that have gone up. I highly encourage you to look that up. There's tons of images of rockets that go up and it looks like they hit something at the top and they skip around. Let me see here. Actually, let me see. Here we go. Here's another one. Here's a SpaceX rocket that went up. And notice none of the rockets, there's another thing I want to tell you. None of the rockets go straight up. Because again, you would think that the rocket would go straight up and whatever. They always try to say, oh, well, it's to go and circumnavigate the globe and blah, 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 blah. No rockets go straight up. Go and look that up. All the rockets curve when they go up. They don't go straight. No rockets go straight up. So here you got the SpaceX rocket coming up here. And then we're going to skip over here. Oh, here we go. It's behind the clouds. And then you're going to see it right there. See that? You saw that little, hold on. Let me back it up. There's a point where you start seeing a little wake come behind it right there. And then it's going to hit another wake soon too. It's like it's skipping across the top. There it is. And then you see all these different things coming around. There's another one too. There's actually a better one that I saw. That was this one.
Well, Dave,
this one here. Where was that sucker? There. Again, look at that. Why, there's blue. Where is this blue coming from? Number one, this is the night sky. It's at nighttime. So where's this blue light coming from? What is it hitting that's making this blue light? That blue light is still sitting up there. I'm quite sure it's the ice crystals that, the rocket is hitting up there with the ice crystals. But look at this wake. Look at this now. Doesn't that not look like the wake that you saw on the boat? There. Are you seeing? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? This is the rocket supposedly, blowing up or whatever, but you see all of these different blues and stuff coming off of it. Again, I'm sure it's the ice that the rocket engine is super hot, thousands of degrees rocket engine that still manages to have ice on it. Some of the parts are falling off, and that's where you're seeing these secondary wakes coming from it because it's separating from the stage of other rockets. And again, it looks like the wake off of that boat. There's waters above. And that is what the Bible talks about. Because again, he talked about the water below. So then he goes in verse 1:9, and Yah said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together in one place and let dry land appear. And it was so. So he didn't say he didn't say under the waters. He said under the heaven. So under this is clearly something that's the heaven is under the firmament. And then you got waters that's under that heaven. And then he called the dry land earth, and in the gathering together of the waters, he called seas, and y'all saw that it was good. Now, we're going to skip forward a little bit because, again, that right there is to let you know that there was a separation, a difference between the water above and the waters below. But we're going to not leave this subject of waters above. I'm going to kind of stay there for a little bit. It's more to it. And then it goes on to, let's go to verse 14. And Yah said, let there be lights in the firmament. He didn't say in the heaven. He didn't say in the universe. He didn't say in anywhere else. He said, let there be lights in the firmament. And then let's get this word lights. Let us get this word lights, because he didn't say planets. He didn't say any of that type of stuff. He said he said lights. So let us go. Wait, what is it doing? Oh my goodness. Hold on. I went to the wrong one. This lights words, Maor. It means light, luminary. But again, he didn't say where are we getting this word? Where is planet in the Bible? Show me a word that can give us the equivalent of a planet, meaning a giant mass of land or gas in a universe. Number one, the word universe itself, that word is actually pagan in origin. I'm just going to give you that now. There's actually a goddess called Uni, who was called basically the goddess of the sky, the goddess of everything and encompassing. That's where this word universe comes from. It's a pagan origin to that word altogether. But where he said lights, this is luminary. Where is planet? Where does planet come from? Where is ball of gas that's burning or as a star? Where is that? That's not there. And the Bible is very specific. I mean, he talked about the animals. He talked about all the animals coming out of the water. And we see that to this day. There are certain birds and lizards that are related to each other that come out of water and deal in water. Like all of these things in creation, we can see anthropologically as well as just through our observation, things that all of this stuff has. Of course, the different groups of animals that were together on the land, all of these different things. We see these things. So why is it that when it comes to the lights and the luminaries in the heaven, we get planets? And why do we just automatically assume that he's talking about planets? Now, some people will tell you, oh, well, we're just so advanced now. Oh, we have telescopes and we have computers and we're just so advanced, and they were so stupid back then. They had mythology and they were just dumb. Our ancestors were pretty stupid, even though they built all these great structures without any of the modern technology. I mean, they used a hammer and a chisel, and we have cranes and all kinds of fabs and all kinds of factories, but we still don't make the same type of buildings. But we're more advanced. We're the more advanced ones, y'all. We are highly advanced. We're just so advanced that we don't even make the same type of buildings. They had buildings with artsmanship and workmanship in it. They had all sorts of designs and things that are in it. And now we live in boxes, and we work in boxes made of glass. Heck, most of these houses are made of just crappy wood and garbage wood. But we're more advanced, though. We want this to be advanced. So it says, and Yah said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day and the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. Y'all remember our last week's study talking about that. That's actually going to come to play a little bit today. And it says, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven that give light upon the earth. And so it was so. And here's another big banger right here. And Yah made two lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. And he made the stars also. Now, Babylon tells us that the moon is a reflection of the sun. The sun basically just reflects off the moon. Yet, moonlight gives no heat, and it gets actually colder at night. Now, I do photography, and I have reflectors. And reflectors don't do that. Like, I don't have a reflector that all of a sudden it reflects light and the light gets cold. I'm not standing in the reflector like, oh man, it's getting cold by this reflector. I better step out and stand into the sun because all these light waves coming off this reflector are just chilling me out. No, it's hot. The reflector gets hot. If you have it outside, and especially if you bounce in sunlight, you use it to bounce light like reflectors. If you're taking a picture of the subject, you want to get a good even flow of light. So you'll usually have like another person, or you'll have a stand and you'll set your reflector up to reflect the light. So that way you can get a good lighting on the subject that you're doing. Because it's better to have people fully lighted than to have hard shadows. That's just some, photography nerdery for y'all real quick. So that reflector gets hot. It gets mad hot, even when you're in the studio doing it. I've done it, in the house or in different places when I took pictures and stuff. And it gets hot when you are reflecting lights. I'll have like a big light up there, and I'll have the one light going one way, and I'll have the reflector reflecting the light so I can get the full lighting, and it gets hot. So how is the moon reflecting the light of the sun when it actually gets colder? Like, it's like right now, it's getting colder in Florida at night. It's getting go down to like 30-something degrees down here where I'm at. And it was warmer during the day. So wouldn't the temperature stay consistent? Let's use our common sense. Because again, what I hate using the term that they say, but it's practical truth here. So above, so below. What's in the macro, you see it also in the micro. So if there is just down here, when I reflect the light of a light bulb off of in a house, just a regular light bulb, and I'm reflecting that light off of my reflector, and I get heat, and my reflector gets hot. Why is the moon not hot? Why is the moon not reflect? Why doesn't the temperature stay consistent during the day? Why is that? These are questions that you have to ask. I'm going to ask a lot of questions. Because these are things that a lot of times we don't think about because we're just so used to taking what these folks tell us and just rolling with it. And you're not taught to think. You're not taught to question. If you question, they make fun of you. If you question, they laugh. Oh, that's stupid. Everybody knows that. And then they just go and do a Google search and take the first thing that the first Anglo man tells them, and they run with it. But yet, and still, you want to tell you that, oh, well, they lie about history. They lie about, they even lie about how, slavery's old. Slavery is ancient. Oh, y'all need to get over it. My guy, my great-grandfather and great-grandmother were around during slavery. I'm quite sure some of them were on some of these farms doing some sharecropping. Or worse, was someone was still probably on a picking cotton and doing, plantation work. Just because they declared the emancipation doesn't mean everybody was off. As a matter of fact, I think there was somebody in Texas somewhere that was as recent as the 70s was still like on some slavery type stuff, like 60s or 70s or something like that. It was some crazy thing I saw where there were some folks that were still late in the year, like late. You would think that, they try to tell you it was ancient or whatever, but it was recent. Heck, my grandfather on my mom's side was born in 1900. Come on, man. This ain't old. So they'll tell you that, but you believe them when they tell you that the moon reflects the sun light, but yet it don't get hot at night. It doesn't stay a consistent temperature. Anytime you put heat on something with a hot sun or a magnifying glass, it heats up when it reflects. So why doesn't that happen? And more so with this giant ball of gas that's burning super hot with all these hot waves and stuff. How? Why is that way? So, and it says, and Yah set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide light from the darkness. And Yah saw it, and it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. Now, we're going to get on the other luminary he talked about, the stars. The stars and the luminary. So what I'm going to do, first of all, luminary means a body that gives light. A body that gives light, especially one of the celestial bodies, such as a star. Now, the moon has its own light. It gives a light. As a matter of fact, oh man, I just remembered that scripture. Oh man. Is when Paul, he was talking about the resurrection, and there's one place where he talks about how the moon gives its light and the sun gives its light. Hold on. I wanted to try to keep it simple, but now I'm having things that popping in my head. That are popping in my head that I'm like, you know what? I got to bring that up. I get to show y'all too. Like I said, I like doing this live too, because then you get to see, like, a lot of folks will just get to dictate. My goal is not to just dictate things to you. I want to spur your mind so that you go and research for yourself. So when you see me do things like this, it's because I want you to see the process so that you can replicate that process when you think, how you think through things and how you think things through, and then go through and do that for yourself. I'm not trying to be nobody's pastor that's going to be lifted up on a crane and paraded, high up through the church and all that kind of stuff, or do all or lock the doors while while we go and get the offering and stuff. Jokers is mad at Christians, mad at Drewski, but they're not mad at the pastors that he imitated. I mean, he 1-for-1 imitated. I didn't even know that Jamal Bryant was wearing the same costume that he was wearing. I'm like, man, he nailed that on the edge. He hit it. Even when he did his thing about the doggone Hebrew Israelites, I laughed at that too, because I'm like, bro, everybody thought that was funny. The Christians thought that was funny, but now that he coming at them with their nonsense, I'm like, bro, that's what y'all got. How you gonna say he making fun of God? Y'all niggas is making fun of God with all this nonsense and charades and foolishness that you do in this circus that you call a church. Check the video too a couple weeks ago if you want to see about the circus and why I call the church a circus. It's a whole Ringling Brothers up in that mug. Let's see here. It's in the New Testament. Me to drink new moons. There it is, right here in 1 Corinthians 15:41, or that's just Colossians, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's Colossians. There is one. So here he's breaking down all the differences between the thing, and I'm gonna move up because he's talking about the seed and the body, and I want to show you because it's an awesome analogy that he was bringing out. Here we go. Be not deceived. Evil. I'm gonna start at 15:33. This is 1 Colossians 15:33. Be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners. Awake to righteousness and sin not. For some have not the knowledge of Yah. I speak this to your shame. It is very shameful to not have knowledge of Yah. But some man will say, how are the dead raised up? And with what body do they come? So now he's about to start talking about the resurrection. And he's breaking down the concept of the resurrection. So look at this is such a beautiful extraction of how he did so many similes and metaphors and did the comparisons on this. This is such a beautiful set of passages here. And that which thou sowest not that body that shall be, but bear grain. It may chance of wheat or some other grain. But Yah giveth the body as it please him, and to every seed his own body. And all the flesh is not the same flesh, but there is one kind of flesh of men, and another kind of flesh of beasts, and another of fishes, and another of birds. He's basically saying, yes, we're all flesh, but every flesh is different. The birds are different from us. The beasts are different from us, and the beasts are different from each other. The fish have a certain type of flesh that's different from the flesh of the beast on the land. And then the birds have a different type of flesh that's different from the beast of the land, and different of the fish, and different of humans. We all have our own different types of flesh, but yet it's still all flesh that comes from the earth. There are also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial, but the glory of the celestial is one and the glory of the terrestrial is another. So he's saying that what's good about here in the earth is different than what's good in the glory of what's in the sky. What's glorious about the sky is one thing. Looking at a star and looking at the moon is one thing, but then you look at a giant green lush tree that's beautiful, that's a different type of glory, but it's still a glory nonetheless. But there's different distinctions of the type of glory that it gives. It's just like he says, there is one glory of the sun and another glory of the moon and another glory of the stars. For one star differeth from another star in glory. Meaning what the sun gives off is different from what the moon gives off, and is different from what the stars give off. Again, our people had understanding of the luminaries. If you want to say that these folks were stupid and ignorant, then let's go here to Daniel. In the book of Daniel 1, and let's see here. I'm going to start at 118. Now, at the end of the days that the king had said he should bring them in, the prince of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar. And the king commanded with them, and among them all was found none like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore stood they before the king. And in all matters of wisdom and understanding that the king inquired of them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and astrologers that were in all his realm. 10 times better. Now, mind you, even current Babylon gives glory to old Babylon. There is some evidence for the practice of astrology in Babylon from as far back as the 3rd millennium BC. But the oldest evidence for their organized system of astrology is from the 2nd millennium BC, around blah, 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 blah. More, their cuneiform tablets from the 1700s BC, bullcrap dates. That's all I'm gonna say about that. That's what that BC stand for, is bullcrap. I'll just put it up there, y'all. We did the date. We did the calendar on last week. If you don't know why I'm calling it bullcrap, go look at the one from last week. The Most High called these folks bluff long before these jokers even had the thought to do what they were going to do, and lists more than 7,000 celestial omens. At that time, astrology was focused on what was currently happening in the night sky, as future movements of the planets was difficult to predict. Bullcrap again. However, by the 4th century BC, they had a fairly reliable system for predicting future planetary movements. I'll say future luminary movements, because again, there's no such thing as a planet. If you say that there's a such thing as a planet, and you want to say, "Oh, Red, you're wrong. There's planets." I use a telescope all the time, and I look at the planets. Number one, you're using a specialized piece of material. Again, I deal with cameras. I know how lenses and glasses work. The lens can change your whole perspective on the thing in all kinds of ways. I'll get to that a little later. But the luminary movements too. So they already are acknowledged by this realm as pretty much amazing. I mean, you see right here, they have a division showing the night sky, which more than likely is describing the different luminaries and their motion and how they do things. So Babylon is giving props to old school Babylon, because they say, man, these dudes had it. They understood. And the Bible is telling you that our ancestors were 10 times better than them. So don't come to me talking about they stupid, they were dumb, they were ignorant, oh, they didn't know, oh, it was blah, 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 all this same mayonnaise nonsense that you've been given from these Anglos who want to keep you ignorant and stupid so they can control you. That don't make no sense. They can't be stupid, but at the same time, you want to read the Bible and say you believe the Bible, and they were 10 times better than the dudes that this current generation even acknowledges were ridiculous. As a matter of fact, they call them the fathers of modern astrology, the ancient Babylonians, because they figured out all the different things. They call them that. And our people were 10 times better. So Paul knew what he was talking about when he was talking about the light of the moon and the light of the sun and the light of the stars being a different type of glory. The whole verse that was there, he's talking about contrasting things, about how they seem similar, but they're different. They're all luminaries, but the glory, the light that they provide is different. The Most High said, I put two lights, not one light reflecting the other light. It's two lights. Now, what I want to do is we're going to talk about these luminaries and these paths of these luminaries. Some of y'all have probably heard me talk about this before and have seen this before, but I'm going to bring this one up again. We're going to bring up the star in a jar. It's such a dope phenomenon, and I highly recommend researching and going down the rabbit hole about this. I mean, it's crazy. The cool thing too is that with different type of gases that you put into the water, the stars actually have different colors. But you'll see, this is called sonoluminescence. I'm gonna play this here, y'all. Let me know if you can't hear it.
Luminescence. The first time I saw sonoluminescence was in a darkened room. I was transfixed to look at this spherical flask of fluid. And you'd look into the center, and in the center see a glowing blue-purple light, which could be seen with the unaided eye. It looked like a star in the heavens.
Bro said it looked like a star in the heavens. Hint, hint. They be laughing and play. They play in our face all the time, y'all. I just want you to know this is one of the things that honestly pisses me off, because they be playing in our face. They be nana boo-booing us, and we just be sitting here going off the ignorant stuff, don't even be knowing. They be nana boo-booing right in front of our face.
Seth Putterman called it the star in a jar, a tiny spot of bright light contained in a flask of liquid.
Now, it's a bubble of liquid. It's a liquid with a bubble in it.
This star in a jar is made when a sound wave is passed through a small bubble inside a flask of liquid. And this sound wave makes the bubble do something remarkable. First, it expands, then it collapses. And this collapse happens so violently that vapor molecules trapped inside the bubble slam together and heat up so much that the bubble gives off an incredible burst of heat and light, several thousand times a second, giving the appearance of a star.
The appearance of a star, because our stars are actually that. If you read the book of Enoch, you'll actually see when Enoch was given a tour of the heavens, he was taken to a dark place that was desolate, and he saw a star literally over there. He saw like a ruach that was over a star, and it was basically locked up. And he was like, why is this star? Why is this being in this place that's so terrible and wicked? And the angels that was guiding him said this was one of the luminaries that didn't keep the times and the seasons of the Most High. Remember, he said that they will be for times and seasons. Hold on, let's pull so we don't be a liar over here. Hold on, where was it? Where was it? Here it is. And God, y'all said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. So Yah has a strict calendar. Again, we talked about this last week. There is a strict calendar that the Most High keeps. He keeps a tight ship for time. And this luminary didn't keep the right time. I'm gonna talk about ruachs and spirits and stuff a little later. That's gonna be another upcoming subject about that'll be quite interesting to many. And this ruach was punished for not keeping the proper days and times. They also say that there's a frequency for each planet. Each planet has a frequency that you can listen to. This thing uses this phenomenon here is called the star in the jar or sonoluminescence. It uses sound. Sound. Again, goes back to what my boy Tesla said. Think of frequencies and vibration. Frequencies and sound does so much stuff that we don't even understand it all. They're not taught. They don't teach us this kind of stuff. They don't tell us all this because it's easier to control you when you're ignorant and you just blindly believe whatever they tell you. How it, again, you see the flickering and how it twinkles. Again, we sing the song, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Why are these luminaries twinkling? Mind you, they tell us that the light that we see is billions and billions of years old. So this is the light that was emitted back during the time when Moses was around. And now this light is just now getting us because this universe is so vast and so big and so far. It takes years for the light to reach you. So you're actually looking at old light, but it still twinkles. But it still twinkles.
What made
Now, next thing I want to show you is why these things are not planets that we've called were planets. So when you have a camera, the lens is one of the most important things, man. The lens is literally one of the most important things in your camera. Your lens, that's why these lenses cost a grip. I tell you, a good lens, oh my God. it costs a grip. So this P100, this is an expensive lens that this dude is using. This P100 is a top tier good lens. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous lens because this dude sets up a tripod. You know, most of these people that do a lot of astro pictures and stuff like that, taking pictures of the night sky, pictures of stars, stargazing, stuff like that. Or do another thing we're going to get into that I'm going to show you is these starline photography that they do. And they use, typically, sometimes they'll have a telescope set up with a camera and they'll do it like that. Now, telescopes are specialized instruments. They're basically a bunch of mirrors and glass set up to get the image down to you. Now, when you have a lens can do all kinds of things to your picture. A lot of us, especially those of us who grew up in the 90s, we know about the fisheye lens. You know, if you grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s and you've seen a Hype Williams video, you know about the fisheye lens. When you know, Missy Elliott came out talking about I Can't Stand the Rain, and she was standing in front of the camera looking all crazy and stuff, all distorted. That is a fisheye lens. As a matter of fact, I will for those who don't know, I will show you just to bring understanding. This is an example of a fisheye lens. See how it distorts the picture. Now, if you look at this, I can say, well, you know, this is a picture from a pocket dimension in Earth that is round and blah, 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 blah. And what would a child know? But this is actually flat land. But on this fisheye lens, it literally makes the picture roll upon itself. I'm gonna turn this audio off. Here's another one. This lady's in Tokyo. And again, the lens makes the whole scene distorted. Look at the distortion in all the different pictures and how it flips. Okay, here's another fun fact. When you get on a plane, look at the edges. All the planes have basically a fisheye effect on all the windows. They make the windows rounded like that. They don't have to do that. They do that so to make you get a fake appearance, like there's a curve on the horizon, like, you know, there's you know, like you're on something round. That's really what that is. That's more trickery that they throw out your way. But even on your planes, they're lensed out like that. So on the edges, you'll see like that slight curve. This is what these fisheye lenses do. And that's the lens there. It has like a little ball on it, actually, because it ends up distorting the light to make the picture look a certain type of way. It gives you a stylistic effect. This one's heavy, a heavy fisheye lens. That's a heavy one. There's not all fisheye lenses are like that. There's some fisheye lenses that don't go that extreme. Yeah, see, let me find one that's not as crazy. Like this one, this guy.
This is a fisheye lens, and
this guy is using. Let me find another example to show you the non-extremes. Yeah, see, look, here we go. This is the normal picture. This is the same scene in both of these situations. This is a normal camera with a normal lens on it. This is a fisheye lens. The whole scene is different. It looks warped and changed. It'll make you think that there's something, you know, this corner over here was rounded out. If you don't understand the mechanics of light and the mechanics of what you're looking at, you would think that, oh, this is a curve or this was that, but it's not. It's all flat. But this curves it unnaturally. Funny enough, the Mercator projection, which I'm going to get to a little later, is done in the same way, but we're not going to go there right now. So when you have these telescopes, you're going to look and you're going to see these things and they're going to look one way. Telescopes are designed that way, and they call it atmospheric interference. Oh, there's atmospheric interference. Everything is always some goofiness. That's their excuse for all kinds of stuff. Oh, well, it was something in the atmosphere. It was ice in the atmosphere that was interfering with this. And oh, it was ice in the atmosphere for that. Oh, there was atmospheric blah, 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 blah. Bull crap and lies. Bull crap and lies. Now I'm going to show you. I'm gonna mute that real quick. Now, this person here is using the P100, and he actually, oh no, this one, dang, this isn't the one. This isn't the one. Nope. That stinks. That stinks. I'm sorry, y'all. I had to do a something on my computer, and it lost my tab, but I know where I got it right here though. Here we go. So this is basically right here. Oh, come on, man. Don't do me like that. Are you serious, dude? Don't do me like that. See, look at this. Look at that. Look at this. This does not happen. I tell you, there ain't nothing. The enemy ain't nothing but a liar, bro. I've never seen that happen on my YouTube before. And my system is ridiculous, y'all. Like my computer has 128 gigs of memory. It's got a stupid processor. Like most people don't even need 32 gigs of memory, let alone 128. I got it before memory started going up. I mean, RAM started going up like crazy, like it is. And there's no reason for this thing to act like that. So just know, whenever you start doing something for y'all, illogical, stupid things start happening, because that made no sense. So this dude is using what I was telling you about, the Nikon P1000. It's not a telescope, because telescopes have glass that is specially set up to normalize the colors and what you're seeing. But when you use a normal lens and look at the planets, or stars, this is what the stars look like when you look at them through a Nikon. That's super zoomed in. That thing has like a manual zoom that's, I can't even remember the height that it can go. And then it has a digital zoom on top of that, meaning it digitally zooms in further. And this is what it looks like when you're using not a telescope, but a natural camera. Now, does that not remind you of something? Does that not remind you of something that we just saw? This is what a star looks like. This is a star. That don't look like a hard body of something burning. That's a star with the Nikon P1000. Let me see, the telescope does it different. If you see here with the telescopes, how it makes it basically solidifies all of the here we go. That's not what I wanted. There we go. Again, they're different in how they're dancing and moving around. Now this one isn't even, this is P1000. Yeah, that's a P1000. Again, they're all doing he restacked and processed his images. Oh, I see what he did. I see what that dude did. He took the images and reprocessed. I can't remember that video that I had. That ticks me off. I had another video in here and it shut it down. There we go. Zooming into Jupiter. Now this is Jupiter with his P1000. Same thing. We're getting the same effect. The same flickering and fluttering that you see, but they call that atmospheric interference. That's why, they say that it warps the view of the thing and it doesn't look the way it's supposed to look when they give you the 3D renderings in your books and stuff. But this is what it looks like when you use a non-altered lens. This lens here is designed just for taking extreme pictures at dumb long distances. It's expensive, expensive lens, man. It's still a good and expensive lens. Does that not look like what we pulled in?
Several
a glowing.
That same is giving you that same look, and then to even do you one better, where you see, especially like this right here. This is called cymatics. Cymatics also uses sound to make various images with water, sand, and all kinds of other things. So using just sound, like that's sitting on a speaker, that's what happens to the sound when you put sound waves through it. It starts making, and then it starts doing all sorts of different amazing shapes and all kinds of different patterns and stuff that you see come in. A lot of times you'll see other nations call it sacred geometry. This dude is tripping. Let me go over here and do this one. Yeah. This is sand on here reacting to the sound. And then boom, it starts making all these different sequences. And then when you vary the sound, the sequences change. As you see how the sequences are flipping and moving, he's got a dial where he's doing a thing called modulation. That means you're changing the signal and how the signal looks. And as he modulates the signal, the images shift on top of the plate, which again, it gives you, let's go back to where we were before. There's even one with cymatics that even matches that one there. I'm trying, here we go. This dude here doing his thing with the cymatics. He put the water in there, and then look, he's got the sound playing. And that's really good. He's got the zoomed in. See, there we go. And there we go. Again, same concept. Sound, frequency, vibration, causing all of these different modulations and undulations in this water. Again, it's liquid water, and it causes these modulations. So with the combination of that plus sonoluminescence, is it any wonder that when you zoom in on a star, it looks like that? When you zoom in on planets, they have the same thing. A lot of times we say, oh, Jupiter looks like that because it has rings. No, that's because it is actually making that shape from the sound, from the whatever frequency that is going on in the firmament that causes this luminary to look the way it does. Now, the other thing I want to address on there, they say that the Earth is moving like actually, you know what? Before I even go there, I'm going to bring this one up. So this one here is telling you, this is what they say, how they say our world moves. I'm actually going to bring up, see, it reset everything. I had this one set to where, set that there. And then I want to bring up this dude. This, you know, they always use one of us too. That's the part that pisses me off. There's always a willing Sambo to preach the message of the white man. There's always one. There's always that one to come and be their messenger for their foolishness. So here we go. This is just listen to his explanation.
Say that, but it's not what actually happens. Earth and the moon orbit a common center of gravity. So the moon does the heavy lifting out there, of course, but Earth does this in response to the moon. So really, the center of the Earth does not follow an ellipse. The center of the Earth does loop-de-loops.
No, y'all. So this is what we're doing right now through outer space, but you don't feel it. You don't feel it. We're loop-de-looping around the sun, dragged in by the boot. This is what they say we're doing.
Around the sun. And it comes right on back. And so there you have your orbit. It's not even that. You know what happens? By the time it comes around, it is not in exactly the same place it was when it left off a year ago. There's a mismatch. The entire system with every loop is turning around the sun. We call that precession. All of these are happening simultaneously.
Now that is actually a lie mixed with truth, because there is a precession. The sun has a precession. There's different things called sun gates, the gates of the sun. And as the sun moves, this is how you get your different years and stuff. As the sun moves within the earth and within the firmament, it actually has a precession. It doesn't come around the same time. This is why it's hotter in summer because the sun is lower, and it's colder in winter because the sun is going higher around its circuit around the world, around our realm. So the sun does have a precession that moves through what they call sun gates. You can look that up. There's gates for the sun. I think the Bible even talks about, Enoch talks about he saw the gates, the different gates within the luminaries. He saw the gates for the wind and the gates for the sun and the moon. So he saw this thing literally, and then they talk about it. There's scientific papers that's written about the gates of the sun and showing you how the sun moves and how it goes through and its different seasons and how it comes in and goes out differently. So what he said was partially true when it comes to the sun, but it's not true with the earth. The Earth ain't out there moving out there. This is what they say our Earth is doing. Now I want you to listen to this dude. I want rewound it because he talked about the calendar, which I found very hilarious given our what we talked about last week.
By 1582, Julian calendar dates were 10 days behind the seasons
Y'all remember that?
compared to where they used to be. Now, that's not bad, 10 days in more than a millennium and a half. But the Catholic Church...
A millennium and a half. These numbers that I swear, bro, they pull these numbers from where the sun don't shine. That's really where they be pulling these numbers from, bro. They just be pulling numbers out of nowhere. And what they do is they give you these big, complicated, overly nonsense numbers to confuse you and to make you think, oh, they're so smart. How could I never figure this out? They're lying. They don't know what they're talking about. Even when it comes to physics, the goofy numbers that they come up with physics, there's other physicists that have left science and left these mainstream organizations because they're like, dude, these numbers don't make sense. Your formulas don't make sense. And they're not believers in the Bible. They're just, again, they ask questions. They think. They're using their brain. This is why they want you to turn your brain off. A lot of folks see this and be like, oh, this dude is crazy. Oh, what kind of, everybody know what, do you? Do you know? Okay.
Church cared because they wanted Easter to occur exactly when it used to centuries ago. Astronomers at the time realized that if leap days pushed the calendar too far behind the seasons, we would just need to celebrate fewer of them to fix the problem. Specifically, we would need 3 fewer leap days every 4 centuries. The rule they wrote to achieve this stated that every 4 years would continue to be a leap year, except if it was divisible by 100, unless it was also evenly divisible by 400.
We talked about this last week.
This removes 3 every 400 years.
Taking days out. Removing days, changing the times and the seasons because they want to get us off the timing of Yah. Actually, I personally believe that they did this so we wouldn't be able to count when the 400 years was up. So we would be just so off and we would think that the Messiah was lying when he said this generation shall not pass away until this is fulfilled. How do we know that it was that long ago when the Messiah died on this earth? To me, in my opinion, I don't think it was that long ago. I really don't think it was that long ago.
October 4th, Pope Gregory XIII introduced this new calendar. It took his name, the Gregorian calendar. He also undid the drift that had occurred since the early days of the Julian.
Now, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I just kind of wanted to touch on that.
The first of the year was also moved from March to January 1st.
Oh, let's rewind that back. What?
52, by which point their Julian dates were off from the seasons by 11 days, hence the disappearing of the 3rd through 13th. When adopted, the first of the year was also moved from March to January.
The first of the year was in March. The first of the year was during the time. Now, mind you, they moved the first of the year, y'all. This wasn't no new year. Who has a new year in the middle of winter? Who has the new year in the middle of winter? March makes more sense. It makes far more sense. That's the beginning of spring. That's when spring is coming in. Towards the mid to the end of March is when your spring is kicking in. Spring it kicks in March. New growth. Everything starts growing back. New year. But they changed it.
First,
I'm gonna remind this again. Now y'all see why I pulled this up.
The soon-to-be United States of America adopted the Gregorian in September of 1752, by which point their Julian dates were off from the seasons by 11 days, hence the disappearing of the 3rd through 13th. When adopted, the first of the year was also moved from March to January 1st. This explains why George Washington's birthday has 2 answers. Although more closely hitched,
their lies are so confounded that they can't even keep the lies of the birthday for the founder of the second of Mystery Babylon, one of the founders of Mystery Babylon. They just messed up everything.
To the seasons than the Julian, the Gregorian calendar still isn't perfect. Its difference causes dates to become 1 day off from the seasons every 3,216 years. Other calendars have been proposed, like the one Stand-Up Maths calculated that drifts off even more slowly.
So I want to show y'all here where he talks about the movement of the earth.
And other celestial bodies are always pulling and tugging and sloshing around. Enough of all of this. Let's sit back and enjoy Earth's movement without trying to divide it up and name it.
Now, hear what he said? Just don't worry about trying to figure out Earth's movement and with the calendars. It don't line up. It don't make no sense. Don't worry about that though. It's okay. Don't think about that. Just listen to me and trust me, bro. I'm white. Trust me, I'm white.
As a caveat, keep in mind that Earth's oceans and liquid insides and other celestial bodies are...
Liquid insides is hilarious because, hold on, I'll show y'all live. The deepest hole ever dug into the earth is the Kola Super Deep borehole in Russia, which reached a depth of 12,262 meters, 40,230 feet, or about 7.6 miles by 1889. This drilling project, blah, 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 blah. So they've only gone about 7 miles deep. And I think actually, I thought it was 14. But no, it was 14. Okay, yeah. They've only gone 7 miles into the earth. But they know what the inside of the earth looked like. They know what the core and the crust and all this. They show you pictures of the earth cut open like a grape or an apple or something like that, sectioned off. And so mantle, and this is this, and this is the this is this part, and this is the core, and this is that. How do you niggas know? How? You've only gone 7 miles down deep into the earth. How, nigga? How? How do you know? That's what I'm saying. Ask questions. Do not be afraid. If anybody tries to shame you for asking a question, that person that tries to shame you is a straight moron. Questions are not a bad thing. You should never, ever be shamed for asking a question. It's like, bro, how do you know? We've only dug 7 miles into the earth. I drive more than 7 miles around in a week. It's like, oh my goodness. And movies is another goofy thing. Interstellar, that's another way they endear us to these lies. I remember that movie when when they go down to the core and they went down and all this other goofy stuff. Like, bro, this is nonsense. They just be saying stuff. What's your proof? We've only gone 7 miles, but we know that there's liquid insides in the earth. Source, trust me, bro, I'm white. Are we serious right now?
Are always pulling and tugging and sloshing around, minutely changing Earth's movements. Their effect.
So as Earth is moving around, the ocean and everything is shaking around and it's moving the Earth, but we don't feel a thing. We don't feel nothing. But all this insides are sloshing around and pulling on Earth and doing all this stuff, but we don't feel a thing. Now, if you're on a big old, if you've ever been on a big cruise ship before, you know when the ship stops, don't you? You know when the ship stops, you can feel the movement. You can feel the movement of the waves, and you're on a big old ship. So to say that because something is bigger, Earth is just so big, you don't feel it. Nigga, that's a lie. Stop coming at me like I'm stupid. Are you serious? So everything else can be reproduced on the low end, but you want to tell me that when it gets so big, now we just got to ignore physics? Like right now, we're moving around, the Earth is sloshing around, but we don't feel it? Are you serious right now? Are we serious?
Effect is measurable, but difficult to notice at big scales and also don't look like much in the short term. Short, like the length of a human life. Looking from above the North Pole, the equator spins counterclockwise at about 1670 kilometers per hour. Relative to the sun, Earth orbits counterclockwise at 108,000 kilometers per hour, along a path tilted 23.4 degrees to its spin. Within our...
Now, mind you, they're giving you all this precise information, but they don't know jack squat about what's in the ocean. The very ocean on this very earth is under our feet that we could easily just go in there and look. They can't tell you nothing about the ocean. Or is it that they don't want to tell you nothing about the ocean? They don't tell you nothing about the ocean. We don't know. So, we're always finding stuff and discovering stuff, but we know what's going on billions of light years away. Every time I see, there was a solar storm. We're going to have a solar storm. Nigga, get out of here. How come I look at the sun and I can't see it? How come NASA is the only one that can see the dark side of the moon? How come everything is rotating? All this is rotating, but we never see the dark side of the moon. We never see the so-called dark side of the moon. But everything's rotating and vibrant. And I'm gonna let it finish.
Our local neighborhood of stars, our entire solar system is drifting 70,000 kilometers per hour, roughly in the direction of the bright star Vega in the constellation of Lyra. And our solar system is part of a giant galaxy called the Milky Way, on a plane tilted about 60 degrees, approximately like the windshield of a car, looking from above Earth's North Pole. Our entire...
They say that you're crazy, but they believe this mess right here, that the entire Earth and the sun and everything is flying through this empty vacuum called outer space at these ludicrous speeds. Oh, let me throw something. Let me throw something else at y'all. Real quick. Yeah. Let me show you something. Let me show you something. So, Earth rotation speed at the equator is approximately 1,040 miles per hour, calculated using the Earth's equatorial circumference, which is blah, divided by the sidereal day, which is 23 hours, blah, 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 more bull crap. The speed decreases in increasing latitude, reaching 0 at the poles. So stupid. Earth's orbital speed around the sun averages 66,616 miles per hour. Come on, nigga. Come on. But you want to tell me that what they're telling you was the truth. 66,616 is the speed that it rotates around Lucifer. I mean, Satan. I mean, the sun. It just so happens that the number of the beast and in his name is just so happens to show itself as Earth orbits around the sun. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? We're spinning at 66,000 miles per hour and we don't feel a daggone thing. Not a thing. Nothing. Yeah, exactly, sis. Exactly. Somebody got some, like, again, I'm just saying, when I start seeing 666 and a lot of stuff, this is where I gotta be like, When you do a certain set of math on the circumference of the Washington Monument, that also comes out to 666. Interesting how this number that the Bible talks about for the Antichrist and Satan and the number of his name, it's so interesting how this number just pops up magically in all these places. It must be a coincidence. I mean, 66,616. Oh, what a coincidence. Oh, come on, man. Exactly. We were traveling at work. You got Mr. Sulu over there driving the earth. Like, when the Most High created the earth, he turned around to Sulu and was like, make it so, number one. I wasn't Sulu, but the angels telling y'all, I just can't do it, Yahuwah. I just don't got the power. Like, nigga, are we serious right now, bro? Like, are we serious right now? 666,000. When I seen this, I fell out. I'm like, bro, come on, man. But yet you have Hebrews that will say, and want to argue about this, dog. How? If you say you believe the word of Yah, how, nigga? How? Why would Yah, if Yah created all of this, why would Yah put the beast number in the speed of the earth? Please explain that to me. If you want to tell me that the earth is a sphere that's flying like a bullet, flying out of a pistol, circling around the sun, then you have to explain to me why Yah used the beast number. Because he has his own number. It's the golden ratio. That's the number that's Yah's number right there. That's his golden signature. That's in everything. So why wouldn't it line up with the golden ratio? Why? And it just so happens that it's the orbital speed around the sun. The sun became the center of the earth. Come on, man. Satan, Lucifer, son of the morning, I will ascend myself to the Most High. It's literally a fever dream of Satan. Well, he wants to be the center of the universe. That's literally what it is. Like, come on, man. This is what they say the Earth is moving, how it moves through. Where is the and here's a diagram. Let me open it in a new tab so y'all can see, and I'll zoom it in. This is how the Earth and the planets move. It's at a tilt, and everything just rotates around the sun, and it's just flying at super high speeds through the universe. Just the whole galaxy, the whole Milky Way, everything is just traveling through this endless sea of blackness. This is how they say we're moving, but we don't feel a doggone thing. You don't feel nothing, but this is how we're moving. This is how we're moving, y'all. This is what the Anglo man say. This is what the man who went to the Anglo man school and gets the Anglo man's approval say. This is how we moving. Now, how in the world is we moving like this and the stars don't move that way either? Now, you would think that if we're moving at a slant, like, this is he said it's slanted, and we're moving, and you see the Earth moving all around the sun, and it's doing that goofy wobble that they showed you, the wobbling and all that other nonsense. We're doing all this wobbling and all this stuff. Yet, there's a type of photography called star trails. And this is what star trail photography looks like. This is when you go and you do what this is called long exposure photography. When you basically a camera, when it takes a picture, it's especially when you have like the DSLR cameras. DSLRs are just basically big fancy digital cameras with lots of mirrors that that reflect the image onto a digital chip called a CMOS. And this CMOS is sensitive to light. Essentially, the radiation that comes from light, it is sensitive. They call it photons, but really what it is, light emits a radiation. It's a frequency. So it's sensitive to those frequencies within light. So it picks it all up and will reflect what it sees. So these mirrors take the pictures and then they flip it and then they put it on the CMOS, and then that's how you get your pictures on your digital cameras. Back in the day, they used film, and film was a photosensitive liquid that was done on this particular type of paper or film, essentially. And when you would open the aperture, which is the little shutter basically that takes the picture in your camera, when that opens up, it exposes that film to the light, and then that's why it will give you the picture. That's why you have negatives. The negatives are reversed, and then you have to get them processed, and then after you process them, it puts the pictures out proper and outright when you go through the whole development process. This is why back in the day they had dark rooms and special fluids and different chemicals and stuff to bring these pictures out of the negatives and to bring them out into actual photos themselves. Dark rooms had to be dark and had to have a special type of light because the different lights emit different frequencies. They're different essentially electrical radio waves. The light itself is a radiation. It's an electromagnetic frequency. That is light itself. I don't want to try to get too mechanical and into the science with it, but that is essentially light. So that's why you always had dark rooms, because you didn't want other light to interfere with your exposure. That's why when you had your film, you had to keep it in that little case there, and you didn't want to bring it out, because if you brought your film out, all those old school folks, you know what I'm saying? I'll be 42 this year, so you know what I'm saying? I don't took my, if you never used a 24-hour photo or a 1-hour photo, I remember when 24-hour was out, then a 1-hour photo, you know what I'm saying? You would go have your little party, then take your camera to the 1-hour photo the next day, and then you drop it off at Walgreens or Eckerd's. Yeah, I'm dating myself. Eckerd's or Woolworths or something like that, and then you come back in the hour, they got your pictures. You was good to go. That's how that went. So what this is doing is this long exposure with the digital camera is different, because with film it would wash out. That's why if you pulled your film out and it got exposed to sunlight and stuff, you would get a picture where it was just all just black. It was just all just a bright nothing of nonsense, because it was overexposed. The light basically just took over the whole thing, and you can't really distinctly see anything anymore. So that's why your shutters had a certain speed and they open and close. What this is called a long exposure. It's when you have your DSLR camera set to open up the aperture for a long period of time. And what it'll do is it'll drag the picture out. It's all kinds of cool stuff you can do with photography like this. It's so dope. I've done some stuff before. It's a whole technique that you can get all kinds of cool effects just with the camera, not even doing any post-processing. Like this right here, this wasn't done in post-processing. It wasn't made in Photoshop or nothing. This is a long exposure star trail photography. This is what this dude does. And there's lots of other people that do it as well. And what they do is they go and they take these, I didn't want to go to his original gallery. They go and they take these pictures at these places and they set the camera up and they do a long exposure and they let it sit for like a couple hours or whatever. And then this is the picture. Now, as long as it's usually good at night, low light conditions, because if you have too much light, it'll wash it out. But in these low light conditions, the light is coming from the stars. Mainly, that's why I hear this one's perfect, because you have the foreground is all dark. There's no light coming from there. You see the light reflected down there and you see the light up in the sky. These are the stars, and it's showing you the direction that they move. It does like a blurry streak. If you've ever had a picture and it looks like in the picture you see like, the person is moved and the colors look distorted and it looks like it's dragging, like there's a ghosting or a shadow. This is that same effect, but done intentionally. This is intentionally done where you leave your camera aperture open so that way it gets the picture over a long period of time and it creates this effect right here. Now, if the sky, sorry for that long explanation, but I just want you to understand what you're seeing and what it is. I just want to tell you this without you understanding the mechanics behind it. So this is what they say we're doing. This again, it's tilted and we're spinning everything's spinning around and doing all this. How come when you see this, all it looks like is the stars are moving and the luminaries are moving in the sky, but the earth ain't? How come these streaks, if we're at an angle and these, we're plummeting along like a bullet out of a pistol, how come the lines aren't coming in at an angle at the side? How come it's like a perfect circle looking like the circle in the top of a dome? Again, look at the center of it. That's like a dome. Again, if you've played kickball, y'all had the big red ball that makes that satisfying boom sound when you boom somebody with it when you're playing kickball or you playing dodgeball or whatever, and you get that satisfying boom sound, them red balls you had back in playground. If you ever looked at those balls, they have that same pattern at the top where it's a spherical dome top and it's going around. There's the firmament itself is a dome over the earth, and it has this round effect. And this is what we're looking at right here. And this is in all types of photography. Again, he's at another place, taking it. There it goes again. It's almost like the earth is stationary and the luminaries move. It's almost like that. Here's another one. Again, he's taking it at different places in the earth. So the position of the center of the circle is different, but it's the same exact effect. The same exact effect. Here's another one. He took this one in the north. This is a north picture. Here he is in the south, and it's different right there in the south because he's in a different part of the realm, and the firmament's in a different place. This is one in the east. Again, it's almost like there's a central vertex. Look, again, you can see the centralness of it all. In the north, it's centered. In the south, it's more raised above. You see that right here in the upper right-hand corner is where the center of the whole circle is. Coming down here to the east, the center is coming in around the side. It's almost like it's a dome. And he's taking different pictures of different sections of the dome from different parts of the world. Here's the west, same thing, just the opposite of the east. The east, it was coming from this way. The west is coming from that way. It's like everywhere you go, this is where it is. There it is again. This is facing the southwest boulder where he's at somewhere else. Again, why are these things not just directly sideways? They should be running sideways. If that, honestly, how in the world do the stars stay in the same position that they stayed in from way back in the time with the Babylonians? Remember, they said astrology came from them. So a lot of the things that they mapped back then, we're seeing now. So you mean to tell me that all the stars is bulleted across at the same place and they staying at the same place even though we're wobbling? That don't make no sense. So are the stars wobbling with the earth and they wobble too? Like everything's wobbling like that? That makes no sense, bro. It is absolutely beautiful. It is beautiful. The working of Yah is amazing. When I got the revelation of what the firmament was and what this was, I really just wanted to go outside and just look at the sky. You'll never look at the sky the same. Never look at the sky the same. It gives you so much more appreciation for the wonderful works of Yah. So much more. And exactly, brother. How can you quantify this? How? And this is crazy. They don't even address this. I've never heard anybody address this. Never heard anybody address this. Never heard nobody address this type of stuff. And he tells you if you want to just like I put the lesson last week, I'll put this website up on the Knowledge Seekers Trail. You can get to that by going to publishing.crimsonlion.com. You'll see the free ebook on one side, and then you have the Knowledge Seekers, which is the free tier of the membership tour. There's no cost there. Occasionally, I might go in there and drop some little nuggets that the Most High put on my heart, and stuff that I have from these different lessons. I'll drop them off in there, so you can go there yourself and take a look at it and see. So if you ever want to get into photography and do this yourself, there's people that teach this stuff. This guy teaches how you do it. He's even giving you telling you how to do it with your camera, how to set it up, what f-stop you got to do, what ISO, all these beautiful things. Like, they tell you how to do it, which is so lovely. So you can go out there and do it yourself. That's the beautiful thing. This is repeatable, and you can see it for yourself. It's not something that you just got to trust me, bro. I got a satellite on the dark side of the moon. Trust me, bro. Trust me, bro. We sent a Tesla into outer space. Trust me, bro. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at that. This is look at this, y'all. Look at this. Look at this nonsense. This is what they want us to believe. This is what they want us to believe, that that Elon Musk sent a Tesla into outer space. Look at this crap, y'all. Look. That he sent this rocket up with a Tesla in it, and then all of a sudden, this happened. This happened. This Tesla is just now floating up in outer space. It's just out there. Now, mind you, we're supposed to be moving with so much speed and stuff, but they had enough time to catch this Tesla. We didn't just zoom past the Tesla. If the Earth was moving so fast, how come this Tesla didn't just get out outside the atmosphere and then just boom, be gone? Because we're moving away from it. Oh, well, it was in the magnet, it was in the gravitational field of Earth, and blah, 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 blah. That makes no sense. So that means, so what? The Tesla's still up there? The Tesla's still hanging out up there? And where you get these images from? So what? How are you going to live image it from space when all this stuff? Like, where are these images coming from? Ask questions, y'all. Ask questions. Always ask questions. There was one more thing that I wanted to go over. This here is the Mercator map. This is the I forget what's the other one called. One is the Mercator, and there's the one Robinson projection. So these are the maps that they give us. These are the maps that they show us. This is how the world is. Funny, Africa's so tiny and America's so big and all this other stuff. And then this is the other one that we see this one a lot. This is the Earth, as they tell us, how everything goes. Now, working with some groups that I've worked with recently, we started doing tickets to go to Africa. And one thing that I was like, dang, man, how come every time we go to Africa or try to go somewhere, like if you want to go to Tanzania, what they're going to do is first, you're going to go from, you're going to go to an international airport. So if you're not in, Florida, you'll go out of Tampa. If you're in Atlanta, you go out of Georgia, you go out of Atlanta. New York has their places and stuff. You go to an international airport. And the first thing that they're going to do is you're going to go west and then you're going to go straight over Africa. Actually, nope, psych, that's not what you do. What they do all the time is you go over here to somewhere in Europe, usually Rome or what's the other one? Amsterdam or some little place like that. You go there, then you go to Ethiopia, and then you go down to Tanzania. That makes no sense. This is what got me also with the that thing on Netflix with the flat earthers, because they showed the flight patterns. Like, why do they avoid these different areas when on the map it's just logical? We should be able to get a straight flight, just get on a big old plane with lots of fuel to go straight from wherever you are on the East Coast and to go whoop straight over here. This is where you should go, from here to here. Why is it that I have to go from Florida or from Georgia or anywhere there's an international airport, and I have to go to Europe and then come down to Ethiopia and then come down to Tanzania? Or even if I want to go over here to Africa, let's say I want to go to Ghana or somewhere over here, I still got to go to Europe and then I come down. That makes no sense. Why don't we just go straight there? That don't make no sense. Even if you're from South America, you still got to fly all the way past Africa to go to Europe and then come down. Why? Why is that? That makes no sense. Allow me to show y'all something. I'm going to take this guy out, and I'm going to share another screen. Let me stop that screen, and we're going to share another screen. I'm going to do a window. Where is it? Oh, you know what? It won't let me do that one, so I'll have to do it like this. Let me pull you up. Okay, so it's that one. Let me see if it'll let me pull a window. Oh, it will. Nice. We're going to share this. So this is, as many of y'all know, let me make it full screen so y'all can see the whole thing. This is, my little avatar that I have going on because it's just astounded me the first time I saw it. First time I saw it, I ain't gonna lie, I'm skeptical. I don't believe anything at face value. So the first time I seen this map, I was like, all right. And for those who don't know, this is the moon map. What it is you have a picture of the moon. As a matter of fact, give me a second here, and I will, actually, can I go in here? Yes, I can, actually. I don't have to open another one. I'll just do this here. So this is the moon as we see it every day. This is a picture of the moon that we see. The moon, comes up, it looks all like this, and we're like, okay, there's craters, and there's a dark side of the moon that we never see. First of all, actually, I'm sorry, y'all. Let me do this. Let me stop screen. I'm actually going to share that window back that I had before. Nope, that's not that one. That's not that one. Darn. Oh, here it is, right here. Let me share this one again, and then I want to what I do? Oh, okay. Actually, I got to reshare because I forgot to put the I forgot to share the audio, so I want to show y'all a video real quick. I want to show y'all a video. We're going to come here. We're going to open up the audio. We're going to share that. Oh, no, that's not what we want to share. We're going to stop sharing that. That's the wrong one. Sorry, y'all. I apologize. I've been coming up with these things. Now, I didn't want to go here before because I'm going kind of longer than I normally like to go. But I really want to. I'm just going to share the whole window. I'll just do that. Yeah, I'll share the entire screen. That's what I'll do. And I'm going to turn this on and share. All right, perfect. So what we're going to do. So this is from one of them. You can look at his phenotype and tell that he is of Ashkenaz descent. And this is during the time where they were doing the moon launch, where they were going to go out there and not launch the man to the moon, but first launch a rocket out there to get it out there. And they were interviewing this one scientist. This is from 1965.
You have a theory about the moon, and we expect to be able to get observable facts about the moon fairly soon. What is your theory?
Well, it is by now rather more than a theory. 10 or 11
This is for those that need to get their medicine in the white bottle. So there's that.
years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is a plasma phenomenon, cosmic plasma, and that this fact will eventually be confirmed. I made certain predictions which were already confirmed in 1958, and the situation now is coming close to a complete confirmation.
What will be the result if you're proved to be correct in your theories?
The result will be profound and decisive because it will give proof that a complete reinvestigation of the laws of nature is necessary. Because if the moon is a plasma, no man will ever land on it. The soft landing attempts will all fail. That means that the mass of the moon is less, far less than is currently assumed. It's in the.
So he says that the moon is not a physical mass; it is a plasma phenomenon. A plasma phenomenon, which does check out because something happened. I don't know who did it, what happened, what happened, but somewhere in history, why is this thing out here? Somewhere in history, we have a some organization, we don't know. They did something to the moon. I believe the Most High allowed it to happen. I don't know why. Again, I don't know. That one thing I don't know, but what I do know is after looking at this and then seeing those flights, it started to all make sense. So here's the moon right here. And then what this gentleman, his name is Vibe Cosmos. And I'm going to put a picture of the moon map in the also in the knowledge seeker section. So you can also download it and take a look at it and see what it has. So he took it and then he flipped it. He flipped it upside down. Okay, cool. It's just the moon. It's just, it's flipped over. But then he did something interesting. He filled in the land masses, the dark parts in green and the other parts in water. Now, at first you're thinking, okay, this is a stretch. This is crazy. This is goofy. But then when you zoom in, you start zooming in. This is the United States right here. There you go. You got Florida down here. You got over here with California going on. You got Mexico coming over here. You got all of Canada all right here. You got Alaska right here. Greenland again. We all been hearing about Greenland. This is why your president wants to get Greenland, because look at where Greenland is, and then look at where Russia is. Now, again, this all of this checks out when we look at a certain type of map, and all this dude did was take the moon and flip it. This is the same thing. This is the same stuff that he did. He took the moon and he flipped it, and then he just cut all the light areas. He colored in as water, and the dark areas he colored in as land. Now, what we can see here is there's a lot of land unaccounted for out here. If you ever read the story, and I'm going to leave that for you to go look that up yourself, with Admiral Byrd, he did an interview where they asked Admiral Byrd, well, we've done Operation High Jump and you've gone over Antarctica. Is there anywhere else that, we can go in the world? Is there any more else for enterprising young kids to explore? And, Admiral Byrd was like, actually, nah. He was like, once you get over the ice wall, once you get over there, there's actually extended land. He called it outer land. There was more land past the Antarctic wall. Do you know that there's a thing called the Antarctic Treaty that all the nations agree upon so that nobody takes claim to Antarctica? So you see how much beef these jokers got with each other, how they be fighting each other and going at it. But you mean to tell me they all agree not to go to Antarctica? Everybody agrees? Really? Everybody agrees on that one thing? Interesting. And it talks about there's outer lands. I've talked before about the children of Wolf's Pit. There was this place where they built pits to catch wolves that were trying to get their stuff. And they met these two kids. They were green when they first met them. They couldn't speak the language. And then as they started feeding the kids food and they slowly started eating the food, their color began to naturally come and they started looking like Anglos. And then one of the young girl, she started to pick up English. And they asked her, where did you come from? And she was like, where we come from is dark all the time. We don't have the sun come up like y'all do over here. She said there's a city off in the distance and it's like a glowing city, like glowing buildings off in the distance. But where we come from, there's no light. It's dark all the time. These lines that he's drawing is where the sun is. There's a book. I didn't give too much credence to the book, but I'm going to revisit that book. It's the Book of Adam and Eve. I'm very, very skeptical about a lot of different books. The reason why I rock with Jasher and Jubilees is because you can, number one, they're in the Ethiopian Bible. Number two, Jasher is literally talked about in Jeremiah. So if you want to say Jasher is not fake, then what makes Jeremiah, there? Like it talks about these different books in the Bible. So people that say that are just purely ignorant and just go off of what the white man tell them off there in the Catholic Church, because, they're like, oh, they're not. What do they say? Oh, it's not inspired. How do you know, nigga? How do you know it's not inspired? Who told you? Did the Pope tell you that? How the Pope know? How he know? Man, it just ticks me off when people just say stuff. And I'm like, how do you know? Why? Well, and then when they don't have an answer, that's when the ad hominems come, where they just be like, oh, you're just ignorant. Oh, you just don't want to learn. Oh, I got into it with a camp dude who's like, oh, the book of Jasher is fake. I'm like, well, it's mentioned in the actual so-called canon of the Bible. So what does that make Jeremiah fake? Oh, you're just hard-headed. You don't want to learn. No, nigga, you stupid. You don't want to have a debate in good faith and you have nothing to stand on. You just saying stupid stuff. That's what it is. A lot of these folks that claim that they be on some stuff, they just be yapping. Running their mouth. No kind of substance to bring anything. So this map is very interesting. There's lots of land masses that we don't have account for. There's lots of little things out here. Like, it's like, okay, there's lots of little islands and stuff like that. There's this one island here, what they call Hyperborea, which is very interesting because if you look at old maps of the world, it actually talks about a place that is separated by rivers. And in the center of it all, there's this big black stone. And it's written by the same, again, these are written by Anglos. These are Spanish dudes that was driving around. They're Anglos. Don't let it be twisted. They try to come around and say nigga and all this stuff. Y'all need to stop letting them doggone Latins, them Anglos, they're Anglo, man. They're just a different tribe. They speak a different language. But Spanish is mad close to English. That's why it's one of the easier languages for English people to learn, because it's the same thing. They are from Spain and Portugal. Spanish, Spain. They are all over because of the conquistadors. The conquerors went around and conquering those areas. If you go in those areas in Mexico, there's melanated people, and some of them of us that we moved down there with the Seminoles and stuff down there and made communities and whatnot. But there was dark-skinned Mexicans out there long before there was these Anglo folks you see out there that these camps want to claim that that's us, which is foolish when they straight come out of Spain and Portugal, and they were the people that oppressed our ancestors. You can even go into Spain right now and still see the Negro quarters. It's still there. South America, same thing. There's whole populations of melanated people, but they always, the ones that got the Anglo adjacency, they're the ones in power because their ancestors were the conquistadors that came in. Some of them got shapes like us, especially they females, because they came in raping the women like they always do, killing the men off, rape the women, and insert themselves into a place that don't even belong to them. They did the same thing in India. Same thing in India. They do it everywhere. Everywhere they go. Australia got a whole group of people called the Aboriginals. They came in, did it there. Japan, same thing. The Ainu were dark-skinned, melanated people. Then these lizard, light-skinned dragon jokers come in, and now all of a sudden you got that. Same thing in China. Same thing. It was all that's why these jokers are so obsessed with paleness, looking like a pale, dead creature, a dead zombie looking thing. They love this. They call it beauty. Sometimes I watch these Chinese shows and I be shaking my head at these pale, disgusting looking chicks that they act like it's so beautiful. I'm like, you are translucent. You are demonic. You are not even real. You can't even go under the sun that the Most High created, but you want to tell me that you original to this earth if you don't kick volcanic rocks with gasoline boots? Man, shoot. The further back in history you go, the darker it gets. Sorry about that tangent, but when you look at them old maps, you will see this represented in the old maps. That was one of the things that I found. Because again, I wasn't looking for this stuff. I was just going through maps looking for stuff for Tartaria. And then I come across that stuff and I was like, oh, this is pretty interesting. Oh, this is some interesting stuff. And then when I see this on the map, I'm like, wait a minute. So here you have Canada, USA, Mexico. This is South America, Argentina, all that. You got all the islands, Cuba, Jamaica, all of these things. Again, they're shaped like it. They're everything. This comes from the moon map that he has. This is that same map from over here. He just cleaned it up. If you look at, we zoom in close, you can see some of the same things. He just cleaned it up a little bit. That's all he did. And then you come down to Africa, this huge place called Africa, which starts make sense why they took us from the western part of Africa and it took us boom, 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 all the way down here to America. Why they landed in the colonies. Remember, the colonies were up around here, Newfoundland and all the Virginia and all that stuff. It makes sense that we would arrive there because you came from over here. You came from this side. You got the Ivory Coast in Ghana. That means they came around and went this way. That was a perilous, crazy trip. This land got many Hebrews remains lying in the depths because of this nonsense of the transatlantic. Forget what them FBA idiots is talking about. Oh, we were here already. This is our land. That's so low IQ and stupid. And on that subject real quick, the fact that Tucker Carlson and this white supremacist dude that he was interviewing acknowledged FBA should tell you ignorant Negroes that it's a freaking psyop. Why in the world would they acknowledge that? Because they don't want you to identify with your roots. They want you to distance yourself from your roots. So when it comes time to claim your inheritance, your dumb behind will be like, I ain't no African. I ain't no Hamite. I'm going to be over here. This is my land. Low IQ, ignorant, stupid. Low IQ, stupid. Yes, I said it. If you claim you an FBA, you retarded. Absolutely retarded. Makes no goddamn sense. The stupidest thing I ever seen. Right when Africa is pulling itself away from colonial grasp, you dumb niggas is now following after a nigga, Tariq Nasheed, who literally is married to an Ashkenaz chick. His wife is a whole Ashkenaz. Yeah, she's mixed, but her mama is Ashkenaz. And according to their laws and their rules, the woman is the one who passes it down. So she is an Ashkenaz. His whole extended family is Ashkenaz. But you want to listen to this nigga who started off trying to be a fake goofy rapper, a fake stupid pimp, wrote some stupid thing about pimping and all this kind of, this nigga done had so many failed dumb ventures. He lame as all get out. And now he done found his recent grift with this FBA tether crap. Because he want to play off of the Africans who are his equivalent. The idiot Africans that want to run around and, oh, you're just slaves. They're stupid too. Because they're idiots. They bow down to the white man but want to look down on us. Like, are you kidding me right now? You got two idiots playing off each other and these niggas is jumping in. Stop it. It's stupid. Goodness gracious, man. I'm sorry. That mess pisses me off. It's just so stupid and so low. We was here already. The transatlantic slave trade is fake. Oh, it was fake. We was already here. Oh, the white people need to leave. Well, you go tell ICE that, dummy. You go tell ICE that they need to go start deporting white people. Stupid. Dummies, bro. Absolutely stupid, man. And yeah, I said it. If you say you FBA, you retarded. Stop. And even if you don't think that, well, I don't mean it that way. Stop aligning yourself with something. You don't even know what the heck it means, bro. Be smart. Think. Use your brain. God dang. Niggas, man, just be yapping and just saying stuff. Again, I'm sorry, y'all. I went off 2 tangents. I'm so sorry. I apologize. We're going to get to this map. So, you got Africa out here. You got South Africa. You got all this stuff going on. So now it makes sense when you say, okay, we get these flights. We have to go to Europe first. So from the USA, you go to Europe. You're going to go over here to Paris and London, all here, or Amsterdam and all this little area here. And then you travel down to Ethiopia. And then you travel down, bam, Tanzania. Or if you're going over here to the Ivory Coast in Ghana, you go from America to here to here. So the reason why they're going is because the earth isn't shaped like this nonsense that they show you in the doggone Mercator projection. Hold on, let me pull this over to the side here and pull this up. It's not shaped like this. Because again, if you were anywhere in the Western over here, why can't you just go from here to here? Why if I'm in Tampa, I'll go to Tampa International Airport and I want to fly out. Why I got to go all the way over here then down here to go to Tanzania? Why can't I just come over here and then go maybe, stop somewhere on the coast or something, to get on a different plane, then go there to Tanzania? That makes more sense. Why would I have to go up here then down here? Because that's not how it is. Because how it really is you're going from here and you're coming down here. And then you're coming down to there to Tanzania because that's actually the correct way to go. So now when you start looking at those plane routes, that's the thing that got me. Those plane routes that those dudes was talking about in that movie, they brought up the question that nobody answered. They just called them stupid. Oh, how can we get these people and get them back on the right track and blah, blah. Nobody addressed none of their issues. So if you want to come on here and you want to leave a comment and be like, oh, this is dumb. Oh, you're dumb. Oh, everybody knows this. Then please make a video and link your video for you showing proof as to why you say what you say. If you just want to come on and just yap about something dumb, then nigga, keep your comment to yourself. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear ad hominems. I don't want to hear nothing. Address the issues that I present. And it better be logical. I had one dude just come and we talked about the magical force that is gravity. Because again, there's another, I got it open right here. So the total volume of the water on Earth is 1.3 billion cubic kilometers. That means there is 26 million trillion gallons. This is their estimation of water on the Earth. But gravity holds all that down while the Earth is flying through the sky like this. The Earth is flying through the sky like this, but none of that water come out. Now, if you take some water and put it on a base on a tennis ball, and you sling that tennis ball with some spin on it, you're going to have water slinging all over the place. I know many of y'all, I used to do it as a kid. It was kind of fun. You take a tennis ball, put some water in it, and you just throw it, and it was just cool to see how the water would spin and stuff like that off the ball. I thought that was dope. I was a kid. I was easily amused. I was observing different laws and stuff in Earth. I thought that was dope. I thought that was the coolest thing. It looked dope. How come, again, what's when the low should be able to be what's in the micro should be reduced in the macro. Why is that not happening? Oh, gravity is holding it down. Okay. So why is it that these birds with their hollow bones and their little muscles and their tiny little legs and wings, again, birds have hollow bones. They're not the strongest things out there. How come these little birds can fly over that water unhindered by gravity? How come we can represent all the other forces? We can find the different particles for all the other forces in the world, but there's no particle for gravity. What? What's going on? Why can't we figure out gravity? Why we can't find it? And what is gravity selective? Is gravity like racist? Gravity's like, nah, screw them birds. Forget them birds. I'm not going to touch them birds. I'm just going to touch the water. So what is gravity elementist? Is elementist? Is it only wants to deal with elements? Oh, you're not water, so I'm not going to deal with you. Like, what? Does it selectively pick what? Because that's a lot of power. Again, that's a lot. I can't even quantify this number. Million trillion gallons, bro. That's a hard number to quantify. You know how strong that force got to be to hold that water in place while we're jettisoning 66,616 miles an hour around the sun? Are we kidding right now? are we kidding? So, again, this magical force gravity is holding all this water down. But this right here brings in some very interesting facts, because in that book of Adam and Eve, I'm sorry, I went all around the world and I'm coming back to my point, y'all. I apologize. That talked about the book of Adam and Eve. In there with Adam, there's one part that I thought about when I saw this. It was said that Adam freaked out when he first saw nighttime, because again, he was in the garden. He was in the glory of Yah. There was no night. So when he first seen nighttime, he freaked out. But the nighttime lasted a long time. It didn't sound like it lasted the normal 8 hours like we see it now. It sounded like it was a longer period of time. I've also heard things saying that the days were longer. Like I say, I'm going to shorten days. The days were longer then, much longer than they are now. We had probably way longer days than the hours then. Ain't no telling. Because again, the orbit of the Earth is only in what he's showing right here with these lines. This is where, not the orbit of the Earth, the orbit of the sun and the moon follows these patterns where it goes around the world that we know of today. So it makes sense when you line it up with the testimony of those children from that wolf pit story, or that wolf pit anecdote that those folks had wrote about what they found with those kids, that there would be no light back here. Admiral Byrd also talked about how when he came in, their ship got pulled in and they met these tall, pale creatures that were tall and pale. Again, if you've seen Hellboy and you've seen when he went into, I think it was Hellboy 2, when he went into that cave to talk to that one pale gruel that was in there that had that Hebrew woman locked up, talking about he was using her for procreation purposes. Now turn around and see those two ghoul-like Anglo men that were millionaires trying to proposition those Hebrew women for their eggs and their period blood and all that stuff, talking about you can use that to keep people alive. Things start making sense. Things start adding up. Admiral Byrd said when he went into that castle with them tall, pale creatures, it's so funny that all the Asians seem to venerate pale people. In anime, remember I talked about that in the first Dragon Tactics thing I did, how they venerate the pale person. The pale person is always the most gangster one. Sephiroth in Final Fantasy VII was a pale dude with long blonde hair. He was gangster as all get out. All the Killua from Hunter x Hunter, pale dude with hair. His whole family actually was built like that, except his mama. And they all, his daddy, his granddaddy, and him, and not his brother. His brother actually was trash, but his brother had black hair. But all him, his daddy, his granddaddy, they all had white hair. They were ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Every time, everybody knows, you see the dude with white hair in anime, that dude is ridiculous. The one with the white hair, the pale white hair dude, he's going to be ridiculous because they venerate these things. Admiral Byrd said he got led in by these creatures, and they had these buildings that were glowing. He said the walls were glowing. The little girl said that there was a city in the distance where it glowed. They talk about false suns. Why would you need a false sun? Maybe because the real sun don't come over there. So you need a fake sun because you don't have the real sun. That's why there's so many experiments for making fake suns and all this stuff talking about a fake sun. I truly believe that a lot of stuff that they call meteor showers and stuff are these jokers flying around in their ships and doing what they got going on over there in them extended worlds. Whatever they got going on. That's what I feel like most of that stuff is. So that's how they explain it away. So when we catch instances of this phenomenon, we won't be like, oh my God, what is that? Oh, it's a shooting star. Oh, let me make a wish upon a Nephilim spacecraft that's probably attacking some of his friends. Like it's very interesting because even after the flood, there's a video series by a dude called Iwar Anon called "What in the World Happened," And that one, he has a couple of them. He has one called The History of Flat Earth. That's a good one. That I truly recommend almost all his videos. Anon brings some great insights. It was his video that really started to get me to look into the buildings and the architecture of the building, to really pay attention to my surroundings. I realized, I'm like, man, I've seen these buildings all the time, and I don't even pay attention to them because I was raised to be an idiot, to not question the world that I live in. After that, I said, I'll never do that again. I will never not question the world and never not understand the very world that I live in. They try to give you all this bull crap and all this stupid stuff to keep yourself occupied with, but you need to be occupied with the world that you live in. Folks living in this world for almost 50, 100 years and don't even understand the world that they live in. That's sad, because we're not taught to do that. Let's end that curse. Let's end that. We question everything. Everything. So in this outer realm, he talked about the buildings that were glowing. You had the wolf pit chick, the young girl that said that it was always dark there, which that checks out here. And in Iwar Anand's video, he also talks about how during the early days when they were burning these so-called cathedrals down and rebuilding them, they were lining them up with the sun because they were studying the sun. Because the sun was doing a correction. When the Most High brought the flood, he shook the table. The Most High shook the table. So when he shook the table, he changed things in the luminaries and how they move and how they do things. They still kept the correct time, but he just did an adjustment for how that whole thing works. And that's what they started learning with the sun. That's how I started coming across the research for the suns and its gates, because they did a lot of research into the movements of the sun. They did a ton of research into sun movements, and they figured out that, yes, it was like the sun was recovering from a correction. When it was changed, the pattern was changed. The Most High said, all right, I'm gonna bring sun over here, and y'all jokers over there just gonna have darkness, because he already knew what they was gonna do. He already was down for their thing, because at the same time there were still giants and stuff that came back during that time. But how come we don't see them now? Where do they all go? It is my personal belief that to set up this fake matrix world that we live in, they basically went through and took out, either put them on their own ark or had them folks forcefully leave, and the ones that didn't leave, they would just get killed off, or they were just hitting off in certain places, which is why you got these stories about these men in black that come in and handle all these weird situations that show up and all this type of stuff. And I believe they moved these jokers out here into this outer land so that way they can get their whole experiment of reset the whole earth, because we live backwards, so backwards compared to the ancient world. Backwards, because it's fake. It's the matrix. It's lies. Again, they want us to believe we're on a doggone ball that's twirling and whirling like a bullet through outer space. But when we look at these things, we see that that's not true. We see that that's simply not true. And the flight patterns that they have was the other big smoking gun that I'm like, okay, it makes sense when I look at this, why they have those flight patterns that way. Because it makes no sense why here in Florida or anywhere on the East Coast that you don't just go west. Well, if you were to do that, then you would end up seeing something that they don't want you to see. I believe that's what that Bermuda Triangle is, where all these folks go missing and all that stuff. Nah, nigga, we don't want you to see what we don't want you to see. You seen something that you shouldn't see, so you're just going to disappear. We're just going to take you out. And to say that they don't do that, try going to, there's actually a reporter that went, and they did it on purpose. They went with a plane and tried to fly near Antarctica, and they basically scrambled a jet and told them, if you don't turn around, we're going to blow you out the sky. They did it as the show for. I believe that was a warning to let folks know, don't go up there, we'll blow you out the sky. Again, the one place that everybody in the world agrees on. They got all this beef and all this stuff going on. We see all this beef, but they all still agree on Antarctica. Why? Because we're not being oppressed by men. We're being oppressed by principalities and powers and rulers in darkness. There's no sun over here. There's darkness. Rulers in darkness. The Most High was telling us stuff, man. He was giving us hints. We got to read the word for what it's saying. Get this Christian religious man-made dogma crap out of our brain. So this is the moon map. I'm going to put this on the Knowledge Seeker again. It'll be up Sunday at the latest. Up there, more than likely it'll be up on Sunday. I'll probably end up putting Sunday's usually the day I upload stuff. So Sunday I will put this on there so you can go in here and you can look at it yourself and take a look at all the things that's on here. It's really fascinating when they tell you that America is small. Look how tiny this junk is. This little piece of land want to try to rule everybody else. Like that just shows you it's a small, like a little tiny Karen chick riding the beast, the great whore, a Karen riding the beast. I mean, everything lines up. You got Alaska, which is near Australia right there, which is so funny because our president says he doesn't want Russia as a neighbor, but Alaska exists and it's ours. Greenland, it makes sense why he wants Greenland so much, because from Greenland he has direct access with his missiles and stuff to go over there and press Russia. And you got China down here. He basically got a direct. It's like a chess move. He putting himself in a good position to counter what they got going on in this area. Because best believe that Russia is all up in this area too. So this was what I wanted to bring forth to y'all. You know, I don't went over much more than I wanted to go. I usually try to keep these hour and a half, but I had some knowledge to bring. There's a whole lot more I could say. There's so much more, but this is just the primer, bringing up some major points that I found, some big things that make you go moments that, you know. If you want to say that we're on a ball spinning, you got to answer these questions for me. You got to talk about why gravity is selective, why it lets a bird with hollow bones fly over it, but yet the 300 some odd trillions of millions of not just trillions, millions of trillions of gallons of water stays still and don't be flying off into the you know, don't fly off into the universe as we go spinning around and all this mess. You got to explain to me why the stars are consistently moving in concentric circles instead of moving in some angle or some crazy tilt like what we're set at. You got to answer these questions. You got to riddle me this with the moon map that matches up with a lot of flight patterns, that matches up with old maps. Because again, if you look on old maps and like them old maps that they try to say, you know, they speak out of both sides of their mouth. Just like how they had to change George Washington's birthday. They'll tell us, I remember learning in school, the conquistadors were the best sailors. They made the best maps. They were just the best. They were bigly. They were the best, the absolute best. All the maps they made were great. They were wonderful. They were the best maps, the absolute maps. Nobody makes maps like the conquistadors. They're the best maps ever. But then they turn around and say, oh, they embellished and they added stuff on the maps. You know, they saw manatees and thought they were mermaids. Again, I live in Florida. When I was a jit, when I was a little child, a jit, for those who don't know, a jitterbug down here in the South means I was a kid. I was a whole jitterbug, and I went to the manatee exhibit in one of our school field trips, and I'm looking at these things, and I'm like, what kind of drugs were they on to think that this was a woman with a fish bottom? They look like dogs. Look, they look like seals more than anything. Manatees. They don't look nothing like no chick. How in the world you see the manatee and thought, like, are you serious? So you want to tell me these dudes were so intelligent that they can make all these maps and circumnavigate, but they were that retarded that they look at a manatee and say, oh, it's a woman. What? What? When you really think about this stuff, see, they try to shame you into making you think you're stupid by asking questions. That's the number one thing. A question is never a stupid thing. Never feel dumb for asking a question. Never. Asking a question is never stupid. Asking questions is never stupid. What's stupid is accepting an answer without thinking about it. That's stupid. Just to accept an answer that somebody tells you, oh, well, you know, that's a white man, and, you know, well, the white man knows it all. Oh, that's an old person, that's an elder. They know what they're talking about. No, question everything. Everything. And if the person that's delivering this knowledge to you is of any type of wisdom and pure purpose, they're not going to deride you for asking a question. They're not going to deride you. If they want to sit there and try to make you feel stupid for asking a question, that means that what they're telling you is bull crap, and you should be like, oh, okay, and just walk off. Because what they got to say ain't nothing worth your while. Nothing worth to say that's worth your while. Asking a question, oh, don't question God. Shut the heck up. Disrespectfully, please shut up. Because you should question y'all. Y'all wants questions. He loves that. When he loves his children to ask questions about his work and what he does. If you have kids and you were doing something at your job and your kids ask questions about your job, you go, shut up, you stupid little jit. Why are you asking me questions about that? Stay in the child's place and shut up. You sound like a crazy parent. He's like, oh, I'm so glad you asked. It took me 7 whole days to make this whole earth. I could tell you some things. He gonna tell you. They never question God, never question. Because you know why? A slave obeys. It's a saying, man. I love Ken Levine, man. Ken Levine is probably one of my favorite writers when it comes to like video game stories and stuff. He's works at a company. Well, I don't know if Ken Levine still works there at I don't think he works there at BioWare because the stuff BioWare makes now is garbage. But this game was called BioShock back in the day, and then there's another one called BioShock Infinite. Both of those games are amazing. If you have, any type of gaming, PC gaming or whatever, I highly recommend BioShock and BioShock Infinite. BioShock 2 is okay. It's not bad. I didn't really get into BioShock 2, but BioShock 1 and BioShock Infinite, chef's kiss. Great games. Back when the Anglos actually made good games. Like, that was the golden age of them making good stuff. Now they make trash. It's all just woke garbage now with all this stupid manly looking chicks running around, or these stupid female centered things with all kinds of stupid nonsense. Like this Expedition 33. Oh, the young girl is so much better than her dad. She could beat her dad. This man who's been practicing his power for years, but he's been practicing his power only because his wife taught him the power. Stupid. This man has no agency outside of a woman. Retarded. Absolutely retarded. He's just dependent on the woman for everything. Stupid. Dumb. All this stupid girl power crap they put in these games. It's stupid. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. I ain't even gonna talk about the Libiqua crap they be throwing in there. The LGBT. That's what Libiqua. LGBT. All that silliness that they be putting in. Don't even got no place in the game. No place in the game at all. Programming. But they this. Ah, crap. Forgot what I was going to say. I got so upset. Ken Levine with BioShock. He was talking about, he had a saying that he did with his dude. This dude, the whole premise of it is this guy, Andrew Ryan. It's actually based off of a book called Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. And he built an underwater city because he got tired of the government taking his money and the church taking his money. He's like, look, I'm going to build a city where you get what you get it how you live. If you build it, that's you. You got it. Ain't nobody going to come take your stuff. You get it how you live. And it was really pushing rugged individualism and independence that he pushed in this area. Then something goofy happened and all kinds of stuff. Hell broke loose down there. It's a dope game. Very dope game. But one of the things that man said, which is so fire, he said, a man chooses, a slave obeys. I love it. A man chooses, a slave obeys. So if you choose to ask a question and they deride you for it, that's because they want you to be a slave. Because a slave just takes what's told to them and runs with it. So if you want to question the luminaries and question the realm and somebody says, oh, you're dumb, that's because they come in with a slave mindset. We're not slaves no more. We're not doing that. We're free in our mind. Only a slave just accepts what he's told. Even what I've told you now, go research. This is why I showed you my methodology. It may seem, oh, wow, I want to show you how I arrive to things. I want to show you and give reasoning and show you the questions that I ask that went through my thought process when I go through things, because then you can come and ask them, say, I don't care. If you say, oh, well, Red, I don't know about this and this and this and this and this. And I'm open to hearing other opinions. I'm like, you know what? That makes sense. Then it may not be that way. If something's a theory for me, I'll tell you it's a theory. That's straight up. That don't mean it's true. That just means that that's just something that I hold as a theory based on my educated guess right now. But I'm not going to deride you for asking a question. Always ask questions. Always ask questions. And that's in anything, y'all. Don't let nobody deride you for asking questions, for wanting to look things up. One of the things that I taught my ex's son that made me so happy was whenever I would tell him something, he would whip his phone out and then research it. I loved that. I loved it. It made me happy. I'm like, yeah, don't just take my word for it. You look it up. That's what I'm talking about. That's what you should want from your kids. That's what you should want from anybody. If they ask you questions and you've studied, that's why I don't bring something out unless I have a substantial thing to study on. Make sure you understand that thing, that you have a good understanding. Try to prove your theory wrong. Don't be married to a theory. Prove it wrong. Try to prove it wrong. I remember in the beginning when I talked about Peleg, and I tried to say that, Peleg was born around the time where it was Pangea and all the world separated. But then when I read it in Jasher, Peleg was born during the time that Noah had gathered his sons around and he separated the earth. That's what it meant by the earth was separated. Not that it was, because again, I was programmed with Pangea and this plate tectonic bullcrap when these niggas hadn't even gone 7 miles only went 7 miles into the earth. But they want to tell us plate tectonics and all this other stupid crap. So I had to refocus my thinking, and then I came in a video many moons ago and corrected that. No, I had to correct that because my thought process was wrong. Learning is iterative. It's always changing and building and going forward. So always research, always question, even in the word. If you seek and you ask, the Most High literally tells you, ask, seek, and knock. ASK, ask. He don't care. again, it was a slave-minded person. And again, that's our people. I get it. I'm not down in our elders. They had what they had. They did the best with what they had. And there's no disrespect to that. But that's a slave mind. And we got to get beyond that slave mind. You absolutely question Yah. And if you can question the creator of all heaven and earth, how the heck can you not question a stank man that walk and poops? Come on. Question everything. So, like I said, I'll put this in the Knowledge Seekers, and I'm also going to put that man's website for those that are interested in photography that want to learn how to do that, or that's just interested in seeing that some more, and I'll put that on there. And the cool thing about that is I set it up to allow comments and stuff, so if you want to make comments on it, or you found some cool little thing and stuff, you can always, drop comments there. I'll go in and I read them and stuff like that, and I'll respond. So yeah, that's it, man. That's, if anything that I hope y'all picked up today, is the fact that always question everything. Question everything. And it's not shameful to ask a question. It's not shameful to have a theory. There's a dude that made a theory about the Akashic field and how he's not a creationist at all. He doesn't even believe in Christianity. And he just had another theory for how our world came into being, that it was like a mirror of another world, which after reading the book of Enoch, it kind of, I'm like, man, that thing kind of slaps a little bit. But he started his story off. This is what made me start realizing science was full of crap. Because he was like, I just presented this as a question and everybody treated me like I was crazy. And everybody just dismissed it. You're not allowed to question the narrative. What kind of nonsense is that? When I was raised up, I was taught that science was something that you iterate upon, that you would have a hypothesis and you would test it, and you would test it. If it failed, hey, okay, cool. Hey, that was just a good question. It didn't work out that way. Or maybe I finally discover something different. And if you find something different that's repeatable, you modify your current set of knowledge with the new knowledge that you learned. Nowadays, it's like if you question the science, it's like you're questioning God. Huh. Interesting. Huh. Yeah, you're questioning the God of this world that's made this fake matrix nonsense of a ball spinning through the sky at 666,000 miles per hour, but the water don't move, the earth don't move, and you got this magical force called gravity that magically makes all this stuff possible, but the birds can fly over it, but they don't tell you how magnetism works. Where does gravity fit in with magnetism? And how is this light coming in? Oh, we got to get rid of the luminiferous ether. That really what they used to believe is what magnetism and light existed in. We got to get rid of that because we got to tell you that the light from these luminaries came from millions and billions of years ago. All right, bro. All right, bro. Shoot. So yeah, man. Yeah, man. That's how that goes. I apologize. This goes longer than normal, but I appreciate y'all rocking with it, brother. And I will see y'all again later. Y'all have a blessed evening.
Hey, it was bigger than your wish. Hey, my God bigger than your wish. Hey, my God bigger than your wish. We celebrate Halloween. Put it in the ditch. Hey, yeah, put it in the ditch. We celebrate Halloween. Put it in the ditch. Hey, yeah, put it in the ditch. Nah, we ain't in the dark, cause we righteous. See, we with the light gang. Light gang. Yeah, we with the light gang. Light gang. Yeah, we ride with the light gang. Light gang, shining bright. We ain't friends with the night, we with the righteous. We with the light gang. Light gang. Yeah, we with the light gang. Light gang. Yeah, we ride with the light gang. Nah, we ain't in the dark. We a light that set this world. No, we righteous. We with the righteous. You can get just like this, like bang, don't bang. No, we righteous, but we can hang with the slang. This light shines so bright, I had to lay back. Ain't they Chirac, but we killing demons, then watch the playback. Then pull up with our spirit lit up. We showing love to the sinners who was stuck in the club, and now the blood hit they psyche. Feeling Christly, we do the right thing, no spitely. No demons or witches cannot entice me. My sword in my hand like a Mikey, no Freddy Krueger maneuvering from the darkness. Accusers wanna recruit us, cause we was in the dark and his mercy set us apart in the body. We talk the same, we don't complain, cause we with the light gang. Light